Yo, what's up, y'all? This is Josh here from Keep It Techie, and today we're setting up n8n on Ubuntu Server 24.04 using Docker Compose, storing the data in PostgreSQL, and putting it all behind Caddy for HTTPS on our LAN. Then I'll demo an AI workflow that calls my Ollama server that I've shown you guys how to set up. So if you guys want to check out that video, just search Ollama on my channel. I have a video walking you guys through how to set up a AI server using Ollama. And so I'll incorporate that into this video by calling it from n8n in a workflow. And so I think that'll be pretty cool. But before we jump in, do me a quick favor. Go down and tap that like button so more folks can get their home labs automated. All right, so I'm at n8n.io, and I'm sorry I always mess up the name of this application, but n8n is a flexible workflow automation platform. Think of it as a Zapier for Homelab, but with way more power. You could drag and drop workflows or script them like code. And because it's open source, you can self-host it for full control. Now, in this video, we'll install Docker using my wiki script, and I've shown you guys that in multiple videos, but I'll have the link down in the description of the video so you can grab that script and you can follow along. And I'll also create a wiki post that has all of these commands that I'm gonna run today on my website. So you can go over there and copy and paste and follow along to get this thing set up on your own server. But we'll launch Postgres plus n8n plus Caddy via a compose file. And then we'll use internal TLS so we can get HTTPS on the domain that we have set up for it without exposing anything publicly. I'll also create a environments file. I'll show you guys how to do that. That will store our secrets like passwords and configurations and all that stuff. I'll show you guys how to set that up, and then you can access that from your compose file. And then once we get everything set up and going, I'll build a simple workflow where I'll access my Ollama server via a webhook and look at a response and just check out the full workflow so you guys can see it. And it'll just be a quick example of using n8n in your environment. And this tutorial should be simple for new people that are just getting into Linux. And also it'll give you a base understanding of working with Docker as well as n8n. So let's get to it. So I'm connected to my Ubuntu 24.04 server on Proxmox, and a couple things I did to set everything up in order to record this video. Added my domain name, which is going to be n8n.lan, into my DNS server, my local DNS server, which is basically a Pi-hole. So I wanted you guys to at least know that. That's why I'm able to use these domain names that I'll be using. And so essentially, that domain name in my DNS server will resolve to this IP address of this server that I'm setting up n8n on, just so you guys know. And you can do the same if you have your own DNS server, or you can use your host file. Either way will work. Now, you do need internet access to pull your Docker images, and you also need to be able to access whatever you're connecting this to. So like, for instance, I'm connecting it to my Ollama server. You just need to make sure it's reachable to whatever services you want to access. And my Ollama is running on a different server using a different IP address, different ports and all that stuff. So I have all that associated in my DNS server as well. Now let's go down and start the install. Let me show you guys how to do this. So first off, what you want to do is, before you make any changes to anything on your system, you want to update it, or at least make sure it's updated. So I'm gonna run sudo apt updates, and then I'll just run it. I'm sure it's up to date. Maybe one or two packages that may be updated. I think I updated this thing yesterday, and yeah, our packages are up to date. So you want to make sure all your packages are up to date on your system. Now, let me switch back over to our browser, and I want to show you guys my Docker script. So all you have to do is go to my Keep It Techie documentation site. It's wiki.kitpro.us, and search Docker up here. And this will bring up, I only have one article with Docker in it. It says Docker and Docker Compose. So it's basically a script, and it breaks down everything dealing with the script. So you guys can read through it. You can see exactly what the script's going to do. It's also on GitHub, and I think I did a video on it as well, so you guys can check it out as well. But all you need to do is copy the link here where it says install docker.sha, and then let's switch back over to our terminal, and all we have to do is type wget space, and then we want to download that SHA file. And then once it's downloaded, you can ls that directory just to make sure it's there. But what you want to do is change the permission. So sudo chmod, and then what you want to do is change it to executable. So plus x, and then you want to specify that file, the install docker.sha, press enter, and then you can run the file, no problem. Just do the period, / and then install -docker.sha. And this will install Docker for you. Very simple. I install Docker a lot, especially when I'm doing videos like this. So really this script was built for me to quickly install Docker on a new server when I built out a new server. And I can even call this script using Ansible to install Docker on a new VM when I get it installed, just for testing purposes or whatever. And so I put it out there for anybody to use it and broke it out so you guys can use it as well. But I recommend you guys look into how I did it. That way you can know what's actually going on. And that's why I had the script broken out for you guys, explaining everything that it does within the process on the site. And so let's go back to the terminal, and I'll be back when it finishes. It shouldn't take too long. What's up, y'all? If you've been watching my channel for a minute, you already know I stay talking about Linux. And if you're looking for a solid, reliable enterprise Linux distro, let me put you on to Rocky Linux. This is the go-to replacement for CentOS, and it's built for the community, by the community. It's got everything you need for a stable and secure Linux experience, whether you're running servers, home labs, or enterprise workloads. And the best part, it's backed by CIQ, making sure it stays rock solid for the long haul. So if you're tired of these companies pulling a plug on your favorite distros, Rocky Linux is where you need to be. And I've covered Rocky Linux before, and trust me, it's worth checking out. So head over to rockylinux.org to learn more and get started. Keep it techie. Peace. All right, so that's done. And one thing about the script, it doesn't add the current user to the Docker group. So you have to do it manually. So you can type sudo user mod and then -a and then capital G and then the group that you want to add this person to. It does add the Docker group, obviously, when you install it, but it doesn't add your current user to it. And I have to troubleshoot this, or if someone wants to go to my GitHub and troubleshoot it and fix it, you can. You're welcome to do that. But that's all you have to do to add the user to the group. Press enter, boom, and then exit, and then connect back to it, boom, and log back into it, and we're good to go. And you can check to make sure you're part of the Docker group by typing groups, and this will show you all the groups that the current user you're logged in as is a part of. So as you can see, I'm part of group Docker. So that's what we were looking for. Now let's go ahead and create our project folder for n8n. And what I like to do is make it under our op directory, and I'll show you guys simply how to do that. So all we have to do is type sudo, because we don't own the op directory. Root owns the op directory. So make directory, so it's mkdir and then -p, and then under our op directory, we want to put n8n. And so we have to use sudo in order to create that folder, because we don't own that directory. So let's press enter. It's going to ask us for a password. Press enter. It'll create that folder for us. And now let's change the permissions of it. That way we have total access to it. So we're going to change ownership. So chown and then -R, and then we can put Josh, or you can use the internal variables, which is $user. You can do that. And I'll just do both just so you guys can see. But, and then n8n, and press enter, and that'll go down and change our ownership of that directory. And just so you guys know, this is a variable. So this is basically the current logged in user. So that's what that variable is. It's basically a variable set when you log into the system, or you can specify what it is by just typing out your login account. Either way will work. And I can show you that it works by typing ls la, and we can go to our op directory just to verify that directory is there, and you will see n8n right there, and it's owned by Josh, and the group is Josh, which was that variable that we put up here. So it changed it. So either way will work, just letting you know. So let's cd to opt n8n, and just to make the video quick, I already created our environment file, so I'm gonna just paste it in there and I'm gonna walk you guys through it. But I'm gonna paste it in there. This is gonna create the actual environment file, and I'll show you guys once we get to it. But this just uses cat. So cat to the environment file, and we're writing this out to the .environment file. And if we run ls -LA, we'll see that environment file created. And we can cat out that environment file. Actually, let's not cat it out, but this is the environment file right there. Actually, let me cat it out again so you guys can see exactly what's going on, because it got that end of file. It always, I don't know, messes up. That's not part of it. That's just closing out the actual cat command, basically saying that's the end of the file. But if we run it, this will give you a breakdown of what's in it. And I'll break it all down for you right fast. So this is all our variables as well as our environment configurations for all of our containers. So we got our Postgres, and I wrote all this stuff out. I put it on my wiki. I'll show you guys the wiki page a little later. And of course, I'll have that link down in the description of the video too, so you can copy and paste all of this stuff. So this is the Postgres container. So we got our user set up. So we can call that variable in our Docker compose file, as well as our password, our database name. This right here is n8n. All you have to do is set all these changes in here. If you got a different URL, you want to change that. If you want to use a different port, the host name, which I named the host that, the protocol. Right here is a key that we are going to create. And I put the instructions on how to create that key right here. And all you have to do is run the OpenSSL, and that's included in Ubuntu. So I'll show you guys how to run that actually right after this. So we can go in and modify this and put a key in there for it, because it's needed when n8n during the first setup of the actual application. And then down here is our connection. And so this specifies how n will connect to the database. So Postgres, the ports, and like the database name, which we specified up here at the top, and then the username and the password that we specified. And you want to change this to something, I just put super secret or local underscore only, just to put something in there. It doesn't matter. Just change it to whatever you need. And then Caddy, which is our reverse proxy, I just put some information out here for that. So the domain, which is n8n.lan, and then I just left admin@example.com. I just put that there. It really doesn't matter. Now let's go down and generate that key right fast. So let's just run the command. Let's go open SSL random base 64, and that'll generate something for us, a key for us, encryption key. And so all you have to do is copy this. So what I'm gonna do is highlight it, copy it in the terminal, and then let's nano our .env file, press enter, and nano is not installed because I got one of these things on there. So just give me a second. All right, so nano, the environment file, and let's go up in here and let's change our encryption key. So let's back this off, all this gibberish off, and put our encryption key in there. Center, boom, and we are good to go. So we can save this. So Control S and then Control X, that's what I did. Now we're good to go with our environment file. So it's set up for us. I just wanted you guys to at least understand what was being created. Now, the next file I'm gonna create is the Caddy file. This is for our reverse proxy, internal TLS, and it doesn't have a public cert and all that stuff. So we're going to just create another file for that, which is our Caddy file. Now, let me cat that file out as well. So let's go Caddy file, and boom, you'll see it right there. So I'll pull a domain variable, TLS internal, and you can make these changes however you need to, but this still reverse proxy set up for us. Now, the next file we're going to create is our Docker compose file. So let's go down and create that. And I already had this written out for us. And like I said, it'll be on my wiki. You can make whatever changes you need to make to it. I just gave you guys a basic example so you guys can see how to set something like this up. So let's go Docker compose, and let's check out the file itself, just so you guys can see. So right up here, services, we got Postgres. So it's going to pull this image. So I just pulled 16, which is fine. And I named the container n8n Postgres because it's going to be tied to n8. I just keep everything dealing with the project. And then the environment file. So it's going to pull all the information for Postgres from that environment file that we have specified. So as you can see, this is those variables. It's pulling those variables from the environment file. And that's just a way of keeping things hidden and secure. You can lock down that environments file where only certain people can access it, or you can take away the access to the world. You can make it like 600. That'll lock it down all the way, where Josh has the only access to that file, and which Josh is the owner of this file right here. And so it can access the environment file, obviously. And then you got your volumes. It's going to set up some volumes. This is for persistence. It's going to keep all our data for Postgres. And then this is just some testing of Postgres just to verify that it's working. It's a health check. I don't know if you guys have seen that before, but that's something that I've started doing once I learned a whole lot more of Docker. I start doing a lot of those checks, and I don't know, it's so much in Docker that's interesting and it's cool that you can add to these compose files. That's why I like using compose, because of all the options you have. Now, this is our n8n server setup. So it's going to pull the latest image. It's going to name it n8n restart. It depends on Postgres. So that lets you know that it can't start unless Postgres is started. So the conditions, healthy, that's just checking to make sure it's healthy. The environment file, this is where it's going to pull all the information we need, like as far as the database, the encryption key, the webhooks, the time zones, secure cookie, all that stuff that we had in our environment file. It's going to pull it in and create it. And then we got a volume over here for persistence. And then Caddy, it's going to pull the information that we had in that configuration file as well. And then a volume and all that stuff. And then it's just list out all our volumes right here at the bottom. So now that we have everything configured, or all our files created, and let me show you guys like a screenshot of everything that's in this directory. So we got our environment file, we got our Caddy file, and we got our Docker compose file, which is all we need for this project. And the first thing you want to do, you could do like Docker compose up, but I'm gonna just run it a different way. I'm gonna run Docker compose, and what we're gonna do is just pull the images. We're gonna do Docker compose pull. This will go through the Docker compose file, and it'll pull each one of the images that we have specified there. And that way they're already on the system. So when we start it, it'll be better to actually launch the application. And that's kind of like a rule of thumb I found, especially when it's big applications that's working together, like when you got like databases working together with another application, and that's the back end of it. And it's just better to have the images already pulled before it actually starts up. So let's go down and pull those images. So it's going to take a little minute, and actually I'll come back when it finishes. It shouldn't take too long because they're not that big, but I'll be back in a sec. All right, so we pulled the images. Now let's go down and start our actual application. And all you have to do is type Docker compose up D and press it. And that will start and create our full application for n8n. And then also, once it's, all you have to do is type Docker PS. You can check your 3 Docker containers that it creates. Like I said, it creates Caddy, it creates the n8n, and then the n8n Postgres. So that is our back end for it, and the front end, and then we got Caddy. And just explain a little bit more of Caddy, just so you guys can get it. n8n uses a secure cookie for sessions, and over plain HTTP, browsers block. And so adding Caddy with internal TLS fixes that cleanly while staying LAN only. And so that is why that was needed in our compose file. But you can obviously make changes if you need to. Now that's done, let's go down and go back to our browser. And like I told you guys, it uses that domain name that I created. So n8n LAN, and it should take us to it. And actually, I need to put HTTPS and then n and LAN, and that'll get us to it. So if you put a domain in there, just make sure you put the HTTPS at the front of it. It'll go to the actual domain, because Google likes to search stuff when you don't mean to search it. But anyway, so it'll pop up with this: your connection is not private. It's basically saying that the certificate authority is invalid, which we're going to ignore that. So we're going to proceed because this is all internal. So we're good to go. It's saying it's not secure, but whatever, it's all internal. Now you want to set up your owner account or admin account. And I'll just put my email address in there, and then I put Josh, and then like the initial as my last name, that's fine. And then you just create a super strong password for your admin accounts. And then you can select this if you want to. I want to receive security and product updates. I'm gonna just hit next, and that way it'll create the information that we need. And then right here it says customize the NA to you. This is just some questions. It's not required. You don't have to select anything here, only if you want to. Let's just click get started. And then right here, trying to send you a free license. I'm gonna just skip that, not gonna use it. But pretty much this is n8n. And so let's quickly build us a tiny AI endpoint with a webhook, and then HTTP request to our Ollama server, and then a response to the webhook using the API generator. So let's quickly run through it, and I'm gonna just show you guys quickly, and I'm gonna have this on the actual site so you guys can actually build this out yourselves. The only thing is the Ollama server won't work unless you have an Ollama server set up. within your network similar to mine, and you can access it via the API. So let's create our webhook. Let's add first step, and this will be a webhook node. So let's start here. Boom. Like it says on their website, it's a lot of point and click. So HTTP method, we want to use post right there. And then our path, we're going to specify something. So we could put AI-prompt. And then down here, respond. We're going to select using respond to webhook node. And that's fine. Just ignore this little thing right here. It says insert a respond to webhook node to control when and how you respond. So that's just giving you a little information about it. And what you can do is you can go down and copy this test URL. That's the one we're going to use. And then let's go down and go back to the canvas. Boom, we're good to go. So we got our webhook. Now let's go down and create our request now. And I just pasted that link into a text file just so I have it for later in case I need. Now let's create our request node. So let's go down and do that. And we could just type HTTP request. There we go. Do that. And we want to use post again. And then the URL, this is where you want to set your Ollama server. So I'm gonna just type it in. So HTTP://, and then I'm gonna just use the IP address. So 10.10.0.60. And then the port is 11.434, and then /API, and then /generate. And there we go. So API and generate, that's what we want. And what we want to do is send a body. And I'm going to show you guys this. Very simple. Just select JSON. It's already selected. And then specify here using JSON. And then you can put in your expression. I'm going to go down and copy it because I already have it. And you'll have it as well. And let's paste our expression. Boom. And then we're good down here. We can go down and close that. And I already have a lot of this stuff tested. That's why I'm just going through it. And the last thing we want to set up is our response. So we just need a respond to webhook. Boom. And we can respond with text. That's the way I can easily do it from my Ollama server. And then let's put the expression in here. We could do expression, and let's use that as our expression. And then options, you really don't have to do this. I'm gonna put a response code of 200, and then you can also put a header if you want to. That's up to you. And before we make it active, because this is how you make the actual workflow active, we can test it. Down here at the bottom, there is a execute workflow. And I know you guys can't see it, but that's what this is down here, this button right here. Execute workflow. And I'm sure you guys remember that link that I copied from the webhook. So I'm gonna use that. So right now it's waiting for a trigger event. And so what it's doing is waiting for me to test out that URL. And so I already got the command there. I'm gonna record both so you guys can see both. Right now it's waiting on the trigger. So I'm gonna run it over here first in the terminal and press enter. So you guys can see the response over here in the terminal. And my Ollama server is a little slow. And I believe my video cord is doing some transcoding or something like that. That might be why it's working so slow. But as you can see, it responded with the text right there. And this is all from a curl command. And then the application, we're sending JSON to the webhook. And then the AI prompts. And that is the prompt that we're sending. And then it's responding with the information that we requested. Now let's go back to the website right fast. And what you want to do is activate it. And there is a different type of link. It's basically without the test in there. And I'll show you guys, this right here. We'll go back to the main page of it. And actually, let's go back in here and grab our production URL. And all you have to do, you can go in here and grab it and use the production link this time. And just show you guys a little bit more. If you go back to the main page, like I was saying, you can go back under executions. You can see when it successfully ran or when it failed. I ran it like 4 times. And with the beacon right here, that means it was a test run. And these were production runs right here. And it'll track all your executions of that workflow. All right, so that's n8n on Ubuntu 24.04 with Docker, Postgres, and HTTPS on your LAN. Plus an Ollama AI webhook endpoint you can build yourself on your own setup. Like I said, I have a video showing you guys how to set up Ollama on Ubuntu as well. So if you want to test this full workflow out, then you can find that video, set up a Docker container of Ollama, pull you a couple models down, and set up a workflow like this. And you don't have to use domain names like I did, you can use the IP addresses. That's why I showed you the connection to Ollama using my IP address, because I have in my DNS Ollama.LAN too. So I could have just typed that in, but I just wanted to show you guys that you could do either or. Now, if this helped you, go down and hit that like button, subscribe, and drop any comments or ideas down in the comment section. I appreciate y'all watching. So until next time, stay safe, stay encouraged, and of course, keep it techie. Peace. Yo, what's up, y'all? Listen, if you've been sitting there thinking about making a move, let me tell you, tech is where it's at. I don't care where you coming from, whether you've got a degree, a GED, or just pure hustle. There's room for you in this game. You see, tech is more than just keyboards and code. It's solving problems, creating opportunities, and building the future. You already have what it takes, because tech doesn't care where you start. It cares where you're willing to go. You can teach yourself Linux, learn Python, break into cybersecurity, or even launch your own app. And the resources are out here for free. And yes, you heard me, free. Now, yeah, it's gonna take effort. You'll have to grind, but think about this. The time is gonna pass anyway. So why not invest it in a skill that'll change your life? I mean, tech doesn't just pay the bills, it opens doors to freedom, stability, and generational wealth. So stop doubting yourself, start small, stay consistent, and keep building. Because this isn't just a career, it's a movement. And guess what? You belong here. So let's get it, because the future is yours to build. Keep it techie.
One.